I don't mean to brag, but I have had sex. So. All
right.
Yeah. So I mean,
well, that puts you.
If somebody's.
That's 3 steps ahead of me.
Yeah.
So don't think too hard about that.
So we've reached a very interesting point in the gaming news cycle where media outlets will print anything they've heard about a new console, no matter how outlandish it is, and then people will kind of believe it just because they want information about a new console.
So you always sort of project your wants and desires onto the news. In the case of this, I think it's just especially fun to speculate because the specs for the next generation of hardware determine what all the games we're going to play are going to be like, you know?
Yeah.
Granted, I don't think there'll be that much of a difference between how the Xbox 720 and the PS4 handles things. I've heard, you know, granted, all rumors and everything, but that the PS4 will be supposedly slightly more powerful, but pretty much they'll have like the same general aspects, like they'll have what was
games.
Games, yes, obviously. They will have some kind of motion tracking thing, either pre-installed on the system or separately. Because we were hearing for a while that Kinect was going to come bundled in with the new thing. Now, apparently, the report I read today on Ars Technica said that it's supposed to be like launching alongside it.
Okay. I think the interesting thing about people saying, oh, we don't think the specs are going to be that much crazier or anything like that, especially in the case of Sony, is Sony just dove into 4K so hard with their TVs, and there's no 4K movie format yet. There's no 4K TV network, so what do you put on a 4K TV?
You think it's games?
I would love to see it be games.
So my understanding actually is that like 4K is such a crazy amount of pixels that like not even like my understanding is that
NASA hasn't even seen it.
Basically, yeah.
They can't even do that.
Like I don't know that gaming PCs today can do true 4K games because it's just the resolution is bonkers. Like,
but if they can put in some sort of nice hardware upscaling or something like that, and at least get us over 1080p, I think it'll look really nice.
So sort of an asterisk on it.
Sort of an asterisk.
Optimized for 4K, they'll say. Maybe.
Well, they do the same thing with Blu-rays, right? They have these Blu-rays that they master to be upscaled for 4K TVs, and they tend to look really good on 4K TVs. If they could do the same thing with games, I would be super, super happy.
Yeah, they'd probably sell a lot more TVs that way too.
Yeah. The Kinect thing is interesting to me because Kinect is such a failure to me. It's just so, and they're just gonna keep pushing it. They're just gonna keep pushing it. They have to update the entire Kinect system.
Right.
Well, yeah, I mean, supposedly they are. Like, what's going to be launching with the next generation Xbox will be Kinect 2, which is supposed to be like 1,000 times, that's not literal, but a million times more precise.
Literally a million.
And literally, it has so many pixels, it's 4K.
It's got 2 million lenses on it.
Yeah.
Well, I think the thing is that like Kinect is only a failure in reality, but like theoretically, like the idea is nice, right? Like, if Kinect worked perfectly, how dope would that be? Like,
would it though? Because like you have 2 issues here. You have the technical limitations of it, and you have the desire of people to want to like play games with their body.
Right.
You know, I feel like if they had come out of the gate with something perfect in that regard, it would have gained a lot more traction. But people are really wary about it now, especially like they've released so many shitty Kinect games that don't even recognize you.
Yeah, we've kind of done the thing where we've done motion control, we've controlled the game with our bodies, and we're over the novelty of it.
Right.
So Kinect 2 would have to be so completely perfectly on point to even get me to play a Kinect game again. And I think a lot of people feel the same way. The thing that I saw that interested me more than Kinect was the, gosh, what was that demo called? Illuma Room. Which is, they had like a shooter going on the TV, but then as people were firing at you, sparks were going across your entire room. And then there was like an explosion on the TV, and because the projector had mapped your room, it was projecting a photo of your room over your room. And when the explosion went off, it looked like shockwaves were going through your room. I would love that more than I think I would love like even Oculus support for certain games.
I want, like, if you think Kinect is janky and broken and only works 5% of the time, a projector that scans your room in and maps to your walls just sounds like, oh, it's broken. Like, they should just put on the box, like, works for 0.1% of people and we don't know who. It works for people who live in like cubes.
Works
like 6 by 6.
Works in Microsoft Lab.
Yeah.
Please come to 1 ticket to Reading is included.
Basically, that's how it works. Is you don't buy the product, you buy tickets to go hang out at Microsoft for a day.
Right over there at the chocolate factory. More kind of grounded rumors that we heard are the always-on Xbox.
Yeah.
That is used to check your discs for copy protection.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
Right?
It's supposed to be like games for the new Xbox, they're saying will all ship with activation codes. So you'll have to activate something online, which will essentially tie it to not your Xbox, but your user account. So you'll be able to play a game on multiple Xboxes as long as you're signed into the same user, but you won't be able to loan games to friends anymore.
Does this...
The idea is that it murders used games, right? Like that's the premise here.
But in reality, I feel like it has the potential to do worse because a lot of used games, like people can spend $10 on Mass Effect 3 if they're buying it a year after it came out. Not everybody is going to be able to spend $60 on it when it comes out the day of, and they might just forget about it and not like remember that it exists. Or not even buy an Xbox at all and say, like, if I'm not going to be able to buy $10 or $20 games anymore, and I'm only ever going to be able to buy like $40, $50, $60 games, like I don't want to play games anymore. It's just too expensive a habit.
This could potentially, to play devil's advocate, do some good. Number one, the publishers will be making all of the money off of their games now.
It's
Which right now, the only people that actually make any money off of used games are GameStop.
Yeah.
GameStop.
By the way, GameStop's share prices fell 7% today.
Yeah,
after that
based on
announcement.
this rumor.
Yeah.
But the other thing that could also help is it could help drive game prices to go on sale faster.
Right, it could be Steam-like. Think of it as...
Oh god, if only though.
It could like democratize and kind of like put game prices back down where they should be.
I don't see that happening, honestly.
No.
Like, all of the game systems that have adopted digital distribution now, like, rarely discount games when you buy them online. So I don't see why this would be any different.
That's true.
I think the motivation that they would have to do this, though, is how well Steam has done with it. Like the fact that these games cost Steam roughly $0 to give to people, and it's pure like profit, and there's no used game market, and that's always online DRM, and people don't seem furious. I mean, consoles are obviously a different market, but
well, I mean, Steam has a way less intrusive DRM than a lot of other companies, and they've generated so much goodwill just by like having good business practices.
Right,
I feel like that goes a long way towards people supporting Steam and their products.
Here's why I think this is not going to happen. Because this is something we heard kind of rumbles of last generation too. The reason I think it's not going to happen is no console maker wants to be the one that pulls the trigger on that strategy.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to incur the wrath of GameStop and other developers.
Right.
I mean, when you go to trade shows, there's a special night that's just for like GameStop and Best
managers.
Buy to come in. Yeah, they come in and they check out everything. They're really important to the industry. The other thing is nobody wants to kill that goodwill with consumers.
Yeah.
I think as much as people want to put this strategy into play, what they will more likely do is just suck it up for the next generation and wait for everything to go all digital.
Yeah, or just wait for the PS4 to come out, assuming that they don't implement the same kind of technology. I mean, people, like, I feel like they're underestimating the collective power of the gaming community here to, like, really kick up a fuss about things that they're passionate about.
It's a hard thing to underestimate because gamers like to complain about things.
They do.
Like, straight up. And just imagine the wildfire that it would start. I think I could see it happening because just like that pure profit idea is so appealing, but it's also, like you're saying, it's such a bold, like aggressive, it's like...
It's a big middle finger to literally
really
your
is,
entire target. Everybody you
GameStop.
Everybody you want. The people who sell the games, the people who buy the games, the people who are your fans. You're gonna kill them. And that's why I think if you're Sony or you're Microsoft, you're like, okay, we do discs for one more generation, we like really push our online stores, we push our platforms, and then PS5, no discs.
Yeah.
Buy it all from us.
Well, there's a middle ground, right? I mean, you can have discs and the always-on DRM thing. I mean, the rumor right now is 50 gigabyte Blu-rays or whatever on the Xbox. and like you're saying, the online activation codes, like doing both.
I mean, at the end of the day, they can piss off like consumers, they can piss off GameStop, but the people that they really have to be concerned about are the publishers, because they're the people who are making games for their platform. And if those games don't exist, like nobody's going to buy the platform. And I'm sure companies like EA and other big name publishers would love nothing more than for all games to have this kind of crap implemented into them.
Right.
So I can see them like swaying things in that direction a lot more than a company like GameStop could. Because GameStop is kind of like, they're not doing great these days anyway, you know?
They announced that they're not going to open any more new stores for the next 2 years.
Like they're going to have to change their business strategy and practices, like if they want to survive longer than the next 5 or 10 years anyway.
Whoever was in charge of expanding their brick and mortar was just completely... I wouldn't even say optimistic. I would say batshit crazy.
Yeah.
Because when you have as many GameStops on a street that as like Starbucks,
right?
You know, you're just kind of like, whoa, I could have bought that 2 blocks away.
Coffee is going to go all digital in the future. I think
coffee
that's something to consider.
That's the thing.
Digital distribution of espresso is kind of the next big thing.
God, that sounds amazing.
Oh, just download it right in your veins.
I'd be so like tweaked out all the time.
You would be.
Would be.
You would be.
Caffeine microtransactions. That's the future.